Hey everybody, and welcome to FYB's French Open webcast. Today is Sunday, May 30th. Am I right about that? I actually didn't check the date.
Somewhere
I think it's
there.
May 30th, Sunday. We got a lot to talk about today. Some big upsets. Before we get started, I want to thank Championship Tennis Tours for sponsoring this event. Please, if you're going to any tournaments, get your tickets through them. And if you're going to the U.S. Open,
banner right down there that you can click on if you'd like to buy tennis tickets anywhere.
And if you're going to the U.S. Open, they're going to be having a couple parties up there, and we're going to be there, so you can come hang out with us. So that'll be a lot of fun. Also, we have in the chat, we have Ian Westerman, Essential Tennis, who is going to be joining me next Sunday for the men's final at 9 a.m. So Ian, you need to get up real early. He lives about maybe an hour and a half away, so you need to be here at least 8 o'clock, man, and you know, so we can get things going. Right. But that's going to be a ton of fun. I'm really looking forward to that. And if you guys aren't logged into the chat, type something into the little chat box, and you'll be prompted to create an account, which is real easy to do. We're giving away a bunch of free stuff over the course of all these webcasts. Today, I think we should give away. What are we going to give away, Adam? Maybe a.
I think we were going with a Taylor Dent.
Taylor Dent signed autograph card.
Yeah.
So we will be giving that away courtesy of Tennis Express a little bit later on, and then on the webcast next Sunday, we're going to give away a bunch of stuff, including a tennis racket. Yep. So $200 tennis racket and some other things that I haven't figured out yet. So
it'll fall into place.
An Adam Szymanski signed Post-it note.
That's true.
For our 3x5.
Actually, you'd be surprised.
Anyway, moving on. Let's top of the show. I want to talk about Henin Sharapova, and I guess we did a poll yesterday. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, I mean, if you guys remember from yesterday, we did our poll question. Interactive poll was, who do you think is going to win the continuation of their match? Because it was rain delayed or darkness delayed. Which one was it? Darkness delayed. So about 3-1, you guys picked that Henin would win, and of course she did.
6-3 in the third.
It was an excellent, actually, third set, I thought.
Yeah, it was. We'll talk about it in a second. It was a little inconsistent, I thought, in terms of the level of play. But we got another poll coming up.
We do, but we're going to wait on that for a little bit.
Okay, you're still configuring it.
All right. No, it's configured, but we're not there yet.
Okay, so I'm not sure.
Topic.
Do I even know what? I don't think I know what it is. You just.
No, I kind of.
It's a secret.
It, yeah.
Okay, interesting. Interesting. Well, with that in mind, let's talk about Sharapova Henin real quick. The Henin obviously won, and like I said yesterday, I was a little surprised as to why Sharapova wanted to get off the court when she had all the momentum.
Yep, I agree.
Going into the third set, and obviously her decision to wait till the next day didn't pay off.
Incorrect.
You know, she got up 2-0.
Yeah, and she had a strong start in the third set. And
had some break chances to go up 3-0, 2 breaks. In that case, you know, Henin's in real bad shape.
Right.
Wasn't able to close it out, and then, of course, Henin flipped the script.
The momentum shifted, and Henin came roaring back and just started hitting out of her mind. She was pounding the ball.
Yeah, and, she was hitting bigger than she had hit the previous night, I thought, and was hitting her spots. You know, her forehand, she got it again, which had gone off in the second set yesterday. So, you know, again,
and even when Sharapova was able to get the ball deep, almost landing on or very close to the baseline, Henin did a very good job of picking it up on her backhand, especially. She had some very strong backhand returns off of very well hit balls by Sharapova.
Yeah, she was definitely playing better. Now the one I want to touch on, it's a point Mary Carrillo made, which I thought was a great point, was that you get some players on the women's tour, or let me take a step back. I think what Carrillo is saying on the women's tour more so than the men. When somebody gets up, when the match gets tight, some of the women have a tendency
They're a little more timid.
They're more timid. They play not to lose versus playing to win.
Yeah. And
I want to talk about, let's go over to the dry erase board, because I want to talk about a concept I talked about in a question of the week. And if y'all aren't familiar with what the question of the week is, every single week, except for this week because our computer exploded, that's your fault, Adam.
Right.
Every single week, I take a user-submitted question, a viewer-submitted question, and I answer it. And one of the questions was, how do I stay mentally tough? How do I keep my level high when I'm playing someone that isn't as good as me. I tend to play down to their level. Well, the concept I introduced for that was something called defense neutral offense, which we just call DNO. And we're going to talk about this concept in the context of the Henin-Sharapova match, because both Henin and Sharapova were playing to win. They were playing aggressively, whereas, again, some players get a little bit more timid in the big situations. So what that means is, over the course of a match, what you're trying to do is transition this way. So if you're on defense, you want to get the rally neutral, and if you're neutral, you want to get the rally on offense. So there's a transition this way from defense to neutral to offense. And what you saw with Sharapova and Henin was that they were always trying to get to offense. So if the rally got neutralized, let's say we're just talking about Sharapova. If Sharapova was in a neutral rally, she'd be trying to get it to offense. And if Henin was able to neutralize the rally when Sharapova had the advantage, well, then Sharapova would try and go back onto offense. So you had this cycle in this area, neutral to offense. And when players are a little bit more timid, what you get is a neutral rally, but then the player's not trying to transition onto offense. They're here, they just stay neutral, and they hope their opponent makes a mistake. And then if they end up in a defensive situation, well, then they'll try and neutralize it, but then they're going to stay here. They're not, again, going to try and get it to offense. So you get a cycle in this area instead. So this concept is, extremely useful when you're evaluating what the pros are doing, but it's also extremely useful for your game, because understanding how you're supposed to transition, well, if you're not trying to always go defense, neutral, offense, and you get stuck on neutral, then you should realize, I'm being too timid at this point. Maybe it's a pressure situation, maybe I'm not confident, whatever, but you still need to figure out, you have to force yourself to get to offense, because again, that transition there, that is what ends up, that's what separates really good players from okay players, or if you're struggling a little bit with your game, you might always be on defense. So that transition there, I thought that concept really fit in well with what was going on with the Henin-Sharapova match. Yeah. It was a really nice example, and that match was a nice example of playing attacking, aggressive tennis, and playing to win and not playing to not to lose. Hoping that your opponent's going to make a mistake.
I think that whole concept of DNO is actually even more apparent in women's tennis, because the points are so much longer and they're so much more developed. Generally, in men's tennis, the average rally is something like 7 shots. And so you have 7 shots to, if you're on defense, to get onto offense, or if you're neutral, or to break that cycle, and then the point is over, because either someone hits a winner or someone makes a mistake. But in women's tennis, the rallies are certainly longer and more developed, I think.
Yeah, and particularly on a clay court, where point construction is more important and more pronounced. That concept really applies. That question of the week, if you navigate through our website, maybe back a couple pages, it's in there. But that, and I go into more detail about how that concept works. Yeah. Over the course of a match. So if you're not familiar with that concept, I would. It's something we made up, but we
just made it up. Kind of just invented it.
It's got no basis. we just pulled it out of a hat. Does this work? Maybe we'll just go with it. So yeah, and guys, make sure you use the chat if you want to ask a follow-up question about Henin or anything else. Somebody was asking about my shirt. Snowbird is a ski resort, as Charles pointed out, in Salt Lake City, Utah. I try and go skiing a couple times a year. I've pulled off a 180, never hit a 360. I landed backwards off of a jump and then wiped out shortly thereafter. Haven't locked up the problem now is that with the website, I kind of have to be careful skiing a little bit, because I can't break my leg.
Yeah. We'd be done.
Or we could switch to wheelchair tennis for like a month.
Bad joke. Let's hope that never happens. Okay. So what do we want to move on to? I mean, we've talked about Henin and Sharapova. How about Tsonga? Do we want to go there?
Yeah, I mean, we want to briefly touch on that.
Tsonga retired actually today, and he was down 5-1 in the first set and was complaining of leg pains. And so called the trainer out. Trainer comes out and gives him, the injury timeout, and then Tsonga goes back on, loses the last game of the set, and then retires.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure how much was there. I mean, the guy, it's unfortunate that...
he seems very hit or miss sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, if you're injured, you're injured. I don't know if there's anything more to it than that. I mean, you had a situation with Rafa in the Aussie Open final, what am I talking about? Quarterfinals. He was already losing to Murray, and then he tweaked his knee, and then that was it. Yeah. So, I don't know if there's too much to read into that. I mean, we can kind of keep this train moving. It's just unfortunate that Tsonga had to pull out because obviously he's a talented guy and hometown favorite. So it's always nice when you have at the French you have some French players doing well. At Wimbledon you have a British.
You want to see Murray.
But yeah, you want to see Murray doing well.
He's
U.S.
kind of British, I guess. Yeah. He's adopted Britain, I guess. But
and then you got
two final notes actually about Tsonga real quick.
Okay.
Number one is that he's going to have an MRI tomorrow, so apparently the injury may be somewhat serious. We'll see. And he was the last Frenchman left in the tournament. So
no, exactly. I mean,
no Frenchman left in the French Open, and one American left, Ginepri.
Until tomorrow.
Until tomorrow.
When Djokovic is going to beat him.
Says Will when he faces Djokovic.
Yeah, Djokovic is going to.
But
take him
I mean, I was talking with this with Will before the webcast started. How many of you would have picked at this point in the tournament Ginepri to be the final American still alive here and not Roddick?
Yeah, I mean, I certainly wouldn't have.
Yeah, I think it's pretty random.
But
Ginepri's a good player.
I mean, he's had runs. He made it to the semis of the U.S. Open, I believe, in 2006. So, was it 2006?
Someone in chat probably knows.
I think it was
You'll probably
06.
find out very shortly.
I think it was 2006. So with that in mind, let's talk about Murray Berdych real quick, or Berdych, because that was sort of one of the upsets from today that I was surprised by. Let me open up the magnifier and we can pull this match up on the computer screen.
Yeah, let's get over there.
But you've got here you got Murray and Berdych, and it was straight sets. I mean, it was this is surprising. Just Berdych is not a clay court player. Neither is Murray really, but you would think that Murray would put in a better effort than what you got here. And looking at the stat line, I mean, Murray did not serve well. 51% is bad, but Berdych served even worse. I mean, he served 46%. So both guys are struggling on the serve. I mean, I think if you want sort of a telling stat line, it would be the winners. Here's the winners, including service. You have 26 versus 47. So, they both made the same number of unforced errors, 33. Murray had a negative ratio, while Berdych was plus 14 winners to unforced errors. So, I mean, I think that's the most telling stat there. I wonder if, you would think the conditions would have, today's conditions were very similar to yesterday. It was cold, a little bit damp, and it was windy.
Slow courts.
Yeah, slow courts. And a guy like Murray who likes to slice and dice and isn't going to overpower someone, he's going to give Berdych a lot of balls to hit. Yep. And on a windy day where the timing's a little bit off, you might not go for as much. You might keep the ball in the middle of the court a little bit more. The ball is not going to penetrate the court as much. And for a player like Berdych, who's got pretty big strokes, takes big cuts, is a flat ball hitter, he's going to be able to stand in. Mm-hmm. And if he finds the range, then he's going to be able to be in control of a lot of those points. So, I mean, I think that's that's essentially the situation you got yourself into with this match. Murray, I've never thought he was a particularly good clay court player. Last year, actually before the tournament, I predicted that Gonzo would beat him, and that's what ended up happening. I think he'll have certainly a better clay court season, or excuse me, a grass court season. But the clay, surprised by the scoreline, not surprised that he lost.
Yeah.
I just don't think his game is quite there yet, particularly with his inconsistent results since the Aussie Open. So yeah, we're going to get to Fed and Soderling in a sec. Well, yeah, it's
agenda here.
Yeah, we can talk about it now. I mean, why don't we hit on Fed Wawrinka first? Give me a second to pull up the stats here. Close that. Was somebody Was somebody talking about Googling caffeine? Did you guys search for caffeine in the browser? Yes, Eric, I did. I sometimes search for stuff because I've said this before, but I'm dyslexic, so I reverse letters. So I'll search things just to make sure I have the exact spelling before I put it into chat. Even a word as simple as caffeine, I can mess up. So stay in school, kids. All right, so here we've got Fed and Wawrinka, and it was a routine match. I mean, it was straight sets, 3, 6, and 2. And you know, the interview afterwards, if we scroll down to the stat line, Fed said he felt like he played real well, and I think he got better as the match went on. But I thought his backhand was at times errant. And if you look here, he's 31 to 27 winners to unforced error, so he's +4. And Wawrinka, of course, was -5. Fed served all right, 66%. That's he's got to be around that percentage to do well later in the tournament. Obviously, Nadal is the most important person. He needs to have that high first serve percentage against.
Yep.
But I thought his backhand was occasionally errant, and granted, the conditions with the swirly wind. Federer's already a guy he's got a small racket head, 90 square inches, I believe, and he shanks a ton of balls. He shanks more balls than, particularly on his forehand, than most other players.
Yep.
But that's because his game is so timing oriented, and his technique is incredibly sophisticated, but it requires phenomenal timing. Right. So if you have the wind pushing the ball around a little bit,
it makes it a little tougher.
Yeah. And the other, I saw that too.
Got fed up and smashed his racket. Now Wawrinka was Federer's doubles partner in the Olympics, I think.
And they won the gold.
Yeah.
No, they're good buddies. Wawrinka's got a nice game. He's got a big serve, good backhand, but he certainly doesn't have his
fed up.
Yeah, when you said that, I was thinking about making a joke, and I was like, that's just,
it was too easy.
It would have been lame.
Too easy.
But yeah, you know, Fed's backhand I thought wasn't particularly I don't know if effective is the right word, but it wasn't pushing Wawrinka back. I think, you know, just like we talked about with Murray, the ball was sitting up when it hit the clay, you know, the heavy clay, and it gave Wawrinka an opportunity to take some swings. I think where that's relevant is the next round with Soderling. If we want to transition, and talk about that match, because Soderling's a guy with, you know, huge ground strokes.
Yeah, Federer is facing Soderling next. That's going to be a rematch of the final last year.
Let me see where I can find the draw. There we go. One sec. Yeah, so we got it right here. So there, my magnifier's kind of cutting it off. But yeah, here we got Soderling and Fed in the next round, and then we got Berdych and Jusni down here. So, you know, if we're going to talk about the Soderling match, I think the conditions will have an impact on that match. If the ball is really slow off the court, I think that favors Soderling. That certainly helps his chances because he's going to have to take big cuts and play similar in many respects to how he played against Rafa last year. He's going to have to keep the points shorter, and he's going to have to really try and dictate, particularly off his forehand. So I think the slower the court gets, the more time Soderling has to set up. Remember, he's not as good of a mover as Fed, so the more time he has to get his base set and take big cuts, I think and you know, the more he can step into the court, that's going to be real important for him. So if things speed up a little bit, that certainly favors Fed. Soderling's got to serve well. I mean, I still expect Federer to win this match. But I think it could be interesting if Soderling plays a big game. He absolutely killed Cilic today, which wasn't, maybe the ease at which he won was a little bit surprising. I expected him to win that match. Like we said, I believe yesterday, I think Cilic is a little bit raw. He's 20 years old maybe. Doesn't have a ton of big match experience compared to some other guys, and clay is certainly not his strongest surface. We actually have a video of those two from Indian Wells warming up together. They were hitting partners one day, so it's up on YouTube somewhere. Soderling and Cilic just kind of practicing for about 7 minutes. That's how long the edited video is. If you pull it up, you can hyperlink it into chat. But
I mean, probably pull it up over there and we could watch it.
Oh, that's true. It's in real time, so it might be a little bit hard to see.
Yeah, I guess we'll see what happens.
See what I
see it here. It's the first result on YouTube.
Would you type in Soderling?
Soderling Cilic, yeah.
All right. Yeah, here it is.
Well, I guess this will be the first time we've ever tried to pull a YouTube video in real time, and I guess we'll see how this goes. Yeah, it's not too bad.
Well, that's on our end, not through the web, right?
Yeah, no, that's going to be, I think, what it's going to look like on the web. That's not looking too bad.
Let us know in the chat, guys, if you can see what's going on with that. And if it comes, well, Tennis Fan said you can see it. Okay, yeah, so that video is, that's my editing work, by the way, guys, just to shout myself out. Adam doesn't do all the heavy lifting. It might have been my camera work, too, and you can tell because sometimes it's not balanced as well as it should be.
I thought you did good camera work this year.
I did all right. A couple times I didn't have the thing totally balanced properly.
I was a little frustrated on day one, I think, but by day 5, I think we had it well under control.
Too many settings on these cameras to. All
right, well, let's pull this back here to chat.
So yeah, I mean, my view on the match is that what the were you saying? Is that what the poll question's on, or what is, or is something else?
What were you about to say?
Well, I was going to say, I think it'll probably be 4 sets. Would be my guess.
Okay, no, that's not the poll.
All right, good, because I don't want to bias the.
No, we have that match coming up. Let me see if I have the poll question entered correctly here. Okay, so there's going to be a poll starting right up here. Sometimes I guess I've seen it be down at the bottom somewhere in here, but the poll thing is going to pop up. The question is, who is the biggest remaining threat to a Roger-Rafa final? I think a lot of people feel like it's a foregone conclusion at this point that it's going to be a Rafa-Fed final, but who is the biggest remaining threat out there? And the way that it's written there is say, so Soderling, is he the biggest remaining threat because he faces Federer? No one, it looks like so far, believes Verdasco is going to be any kind of problem for Nadal.
Yeah, we still got a couple matches before we, Verdasco plays Almagro tomorrow. You got Bellucci versus Rafa. I think if Fed gets through Soderling, which I expect him to do, I mean, Berdych or Jusni, I mean, those guys might as well not show up for the match. Yeah. I mean, I don't see, obviously joking, but I don't see either one of those guys on the clay court giving Federer any trouble. Berdych beat Federer at Miami. Again, this Will Hamilton's theory on beating Federer in a non-major, those things don't translate at all. Fed had a match point, didn't play particularly well, still made it super close. And on a slow court, I don't expect Berdych to, where he's very much relies on his firepower to keep points short. I don't see him winning that. So is Federer one of the best 5 clay quarters of all time? Yeah, Nick, I think that you can say that easily. You might, if Rafa wasn't around, Federer probably would have 5 French Opens or something.
I agree.
So
Federer would have 20 majors right now if not for Rafa.
Yeah, easily. So Fed, with Fed, I have 5 French Opens, 4 French Opens, whatever. But I mean, he would be up there with Borg. So clearly, I think he's one of the best clay quarters ever. We'll see what happens later in the tournament. But yeah, I mean, I think I'm going to bias the results. Maybe I should hold
probably
off.
A lot of results have come in, but why don't you share your thoughts?
Hold off. Well, I was going to talk about the Fed-Soderling matchup and then Berdych. But we'll talk about Rafa and Bellucci a little. Well, I don't know if there's too much to talk about there. Bellucci's kind of an up-and-comer, but what is he, Brazilian guy with an Italian name? That's what somebody described. One of the commentators described him as that. I think Rafa gets through that pretty easily.
Steamrolling?
I would suspect so. I suspect straight sets. Verdasco, Almagro could be real interesting. I'd have to go with Verdasco, but I wouldn't be surprised if it went the other way. Almagro's had some good results recently, and he's got a fun game to watch. I think we have some. Do we have footage of him up yet? Or Almagro? I think we do.
Yeah, we do.
We were doing
alphabetical.
alphabetical.
Why don't you see if you can pull it up? don't know, I guess. Probably,
Okay.
I mean, I don't know how many people have really seen Almagro play a lot.
Yeah, by the way, somebody asked in the chat how we go about filming these guys at Indian Wells. We are media there. We get press passes, and they, that just allows us to kind of wander around the practice courts and film these guys. And there was another question. So
Shirtless
I think we only have
Almagro.
I think we only have shirtless Almagro.
I think so. I think that's probably about right.
But
with his hitting partner in the green shirt, not sure who that is, but.
But yeah, so we do know what courts they're going to be on ahead of time because we call the practice courts,
we have
which
some
is the scheduling desk.
Of, Almagro's forehands and backhands. I mean, I know we have some up there, so.
Yeah, let me.
EPAPS is giving us smack for our family audience not approving of Almagro shirtless.
I'll have to complain with him, considering he was the one that decided to take his shirt off.
Yeah, I mean he's got nice strokes certainly, and he's got some power. I don't know how huge his game is relative to some of the other guys that are on tour, but
yeah, I mean he's not as big of a hitter as some guys like Del Potro or Federer, but he's he's definitely, like you said, got a nice game, and I think he can. He's, like I said, he's had nice results. So
navigate away from that page.
Okay.
Or close it rather. Close that web page. Yeah. And what else do we have on the menu?
Yeah, we're running up on time in a minute. So if you guys have any follow-up questions in the chat, I guess why don't you read off your poll results and then I'll.
All right, the final poll results. Okay, who is the biggest remaining threat to a Federer-Nadal final? And a lot of people, 54% basically of people think it's going to be Soderling. You guys can probably see these results there on your screen, but very few people. One person thought that Verdasco might be a threat and might oust Nadal.
That's accurate. Seems unlikely.
And about 29% think Djokovic, who will face Nadal, could be a threat.
Who could face Nadal, yeah.
Yeah. And Berdych against Federer. 15% of people.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's
a lot of people. It looks like a lot of people. The majority of people think that Soderling is going to be the toughest contender there.
Yeah, I think that's true for the reasons we outlined earlier.
Yep.
And Djokovic is a good call as well, just because he had success against Rafa, not necessarily beating him, but he pushed him in that Madrid semifinal last year. That kind of set up Federer to beat Rafa. Rafa was certainly not his best the next day in that match. And Djokovic with a two-handed backhand can handle the cross-court lefty forehand. So I think Djokovic probably has the best shot on the on the lower half of the draw against Rafa.
And of course, if Federer wins against Soderling, that will be his 24th straight semifinal appearance at a major, which is pretty impressive. So.
Yeah, it's not bad, huh?
Right.
I need to give away this Taylor Dent thing right now. I cannot. I should have thought of a question ahead of time. I don't have one right now. So while we brainstorm, why don't we quickly touch on where's the match?
Did we talk about?
We didn't talk about Venus losing to Petrova.
Yeah.
Which
it's kind of a surprise, I think.
A little bit. I mean, Venus has been playing well, but Petrova is. Let me get the match.
Sure.
Petrova is a good player. I think I'm not. She certainly has the game to beat Venus. So her winning is a little bit of a surprise, but not a complete surprise. I think what was more interesting was just the stat line. Venus was serving 59%. Petrova was only serving 49%. I mean, that's awful. And to win that match 4-3, which is somewhat with 50% first serves, is a little bit surprising. And ultimately, what it came down to, I think this is the most telling stat. You got break points here, and Venus was 1 of 7, 14%. Petrova was 4 of 7, 57%. So I mean, I think that kind of encapsulates the difference in the match right there. I believe they had won the same number of points after the first set. I believe that was what one of the commentators said.
Yeah.
And then the gap at the end was 8 points in the match. But It was 68 points to 60 for Petrova, but you know, it really came down to just a couple key points based on the stat line there.
Yeah.
Adam, do you think of a question? I'm going to put this totally on your shoulders.
I do. This is a two-part question.
Oh, interesting. So you were, wow.
Last year at the French Open, we know
Rafa.
We know Federer.
Oh.
We know that Federer won. Okay, and he won by beating Soderling. But the question is two parts.
Is the answer 5?
Who, first of all, who did Roger face in the quarters of the 2009 French Open, and then who did he beat in the semifinal to face Soderling in the final? So I need 2 names. Who did he face in the quarters? Then who did he face in the semis? And this is for the Taylor Dent gift card, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Little tennis trivia here for you. I assume that probably a lot of people will get at least one of the names. And we got one. That's correct.
Oh,
Nick. It looks like Nick Warino.
We had it up here.
Oh, did we?
Nope. No. Here we go. It's right here. Star Fury got it.
Star Fury got it. Jeez, Star Fury. All right.
Good work, Star Fury. Monfils and Del Potro.
Wait a minute. No, it was Tommy Haas.
Tommy Haas was 4th round, I believe.
Was it?
Think so. Pretty sure it was 4th
All right.
round.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
I'm pretty sure it was Tommy Haas, or excuse me,
Let's
Tommy
look
Haas was 4th
this
round.
up.
Yeah, it was Monfils.
Well, I was wrong.
And your question asking privileges have been revoked.
I would have sworn it was Haas and.
Haas was 4th round.
No, Haas was 4th round. You're right. Yep. Absolutely.
EPAPs, I knew the answer, man. I'm going to blame Geek Squad over here.
Whatever. Whatever. I give up. I'm done. I don't know anything about tennis anyway, so it's really not a big deal.
Star Fury, hang on, I'm going to text you real quick.
Yeah, Star Fury, just make sure you don't leave chat before we have your info. And I think that about wraps it up, right?
I think so. I mean,
Tomorrow we're doing a Memorial Day show, 5 p.m.
Yep, 5 p.m., same time as always. I don't know if we still have Ian Westerman in the chat. It does not look like he's here anymore. What a bum, he left.
I know, seriously.
But he's going to be
dedication at all.
He's going to be with us next Sunday, like we said before, for the final. Final is at 9 a.m. in the morning, I believe, Eastern Standard Time. We are going to start the broadcast probably half hour, 15 minutes, something like that, before the match to talk about it, get everything going. So just keep that in mind, and then obviously everything else is going to be at 5 o'clock. And you know, the shorter shows. But if you guys have any, as always, if you have any suggestions about what you want us to do in either these webcasts at 5 or the final, let us know. A couple of people said show the match. We can't do that.
Yeah.
We can't pull in a TV screen. That's illegal.
We don't own the broadcast rights, unsurprisingly.
So, and
I heard they're pretty expensive for the French Open. So maybe when a couple
if somebody
people,
wants to toss like $50 million.
Yeah, I mean, like if we get like 1 million people maybe subscribe to FYB Premium, then we could afford it.
Yeah, well, that's a little ways off.
Right.
And that's the same reason why we can't pull in match footage for the dry erase boards. When I'm talking about matches, recapping, previews, I can't just pull in a feed without permission from CBS or NBC or whoever, Tennis Channel, whoever's got it. So maybe one of these days. But with that in mind, I actually have some preview videos to make for tomorrow.
Okay.
And
check them out on YouTube. Check out our YouTube channel because we're adding content up there every day.
Yeah, I've been pulling them into the website though as well.
Yeah. Check back on the website.
So same time tomorrow. Again, thank you Championship Tennis Tours for making this happen. And if you guys are going to get some tickets to a tournament, use them to buy your stuff. But we will see y'all tomorrow at 5 p.m. and looking forward to it. Any parting shots, Adam?
Nope.
All right.
See you tomorrow.
Cool, guys. See you.